Hey, we're going live.
Hi, Romance Class is a community of Filipino authors of romance in English. Since 2013, our community has helped over 80 authors publish over 100 books. We also have a podcast, which is what you're watching or listening to now, and it has been a space to explore more of what we can do with the books and what we can discuss with the authors. This podcast is produced by Tanya Arpa and Mina V. Esguerra. Before we start, we would like to remind everyone to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Head over to killing.pub/YouTube, hit the subscribe button, and also click on the bell to be notified when a new video is coming up. My name is Mina V. Esguerra, and I'm hosting the episode today. Today's episode is about how we named our characters. This topic was suggested to me through a direct message on Twitter, and I love the idea. Character names matter a lot to us, especially when you're writing romance and you start seeing your readers really respond to the names as they fall in love with their characters. Last month, I posted on Twitter asking which names from Romance Class books would you like to know about. And based on the responses we got on Discord and Twitter, we asked the authors to send in their names. So this time, I will be joined by author Tara Frejas, and we will be telling you about the stories behind the names of some of our characters, and we will be reacting to the submitted videos and the chat. If you're watching right now, thank you for joining us. If you have more character names that you want to tell us about, please put your stories in the chat so we can share it to the audience too. Hi, Tara.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning,
Hi,
or good evening,
everybody.
depending on what time you're listening to this podcast. Hello, welcome, and to the live stream people. Hi, Jella, Angeli, Celestine, and Suzette. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi, Denise. I wait, I have to introduce myself. Okay, my name is Tara Frejas. I am a romance class author. I have written 12 so far, 12 books. Three of them are collaborations and nine of them are standalones. Today I will be talking about four characters that you've asked name origins for. So yeah, I hope I think this is going to be a really nice discussion because I have seen the videos that the other authors have submitted, and like Mina has said earlier, if you are a romance class author and you have not submitted anything and you want to share your name, your character name or origins, just put it on the chat below. So we'll be sharing them on screen later. Hi, Paolo.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Tara. Okay, grabe. Okay, to cap it, let's ask my internet to 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 stay on for the rest of this episode, please. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
please. Oo.
Pero Tara, thank you for joining me. So Tara was also asked to explain her character names, and then naisip ko, some of us will be doing it on the stream and talking about our characters, and some us, but so we can ask a lot of authors to participate. We asked them to submit a video explaining uh, how they name their characters. So, sige, let's start with Tara. So this is how we'll do it. Ha? We'll start with the character names that were requested of Tara. And then Tara will explain how she named them. And then next up ako, yung characters that I were that that I was asked to explain. And then we'll go through the submitted videos of the authors and then react to those. Sige, so let's start with Tara. So we had a request both on Discord and on Twitter for you to give the origins of the Alves brothers family na rin. I-family mo na. The
I-family
Alves
ko na.
family, like how did you name them? Which books did they appear in, and how did you name them?
Okay. Sige. Oh my God. So, do you have an hour? Charot lang. Okay, so first of all, thank you to whoever it is who asked for the Alves brothers name origins. Thank you for the love. Kinikilig ako lagi pag ano. Um, so okay. We'll start with Pio because he's the first one to get named. Kasi nga, syempre siya yung unang character na lumabas sa libro. So Pio was part of Waiting in the Wings. And actually, while I was thinking of the book Waiting in the Wings, I was thinking of the three character names, yung three main characters. So there's Arian, there's Ramon, and there's Pio. Pero when I was parang brainstorming like names that I wanted to use for the characters, I my first basic rule or my first basic parang need was for it to not be a name that's already been used in a romance class book that I've read. Kasi parang I wanted at that time I wanted them to parang stand out on their own. And when you say the name when you say the name Pio, you know which person or which character that is without asking Pio who. Pio from what book? Parang ganon. I didn't want something like that. Especially for him because he's the artista. Um, so the origin naman of Pio's name, medyo if you're familiar with Filipino showbiz, um, and you know our popular actors, I think you will know where where the three letters of Pio came from. I'm not gonna mention names anymore. Basta, this is an actor that I really liked, and whose career I followed, and yun when I thought of the name Pio, I said pwede siyang artista, and then I'm not sure where actually I got the Alves surname. But when you say Pio Alves, like parang ngayon, pag sinabi mong Pio Alves, parang possible na artista talaga siya sa Pilipinas. I don't know, basta parang may ganun siyang effect. And then parang in a couple of years after the release of Waiting in the Wings and also his book Like Nobody's Watching, I realized na Pio Alves kinda sounds like Gio Alvarez, who is also one of my showbiz crushes. Hindi ko alam, hindi ayoko nang sabihin yung ano, yung taon kasi 25 pa lang tayo lahat. So, basta yun, parang it sounded like Gio Alvarez. Gio Alvarez, ganyan. Yun, tunog ni Idol, sabi nga ni Iggy. So, ayun, it was stuck na gano'n na, Pio Alves na yung pangalan niya. And then, parang everyone naman who has read the book liked it. So, satisfied naman ako doon. And then, sa mga kuya niya, actually, yung mga kuya niya, I didn't have any parang plans before. I didn't have any plans before of writing books for the kuyas. Parang ginawa ko lang siyang backstory kasi ni Pio sa Waiting in the Wings. Na kailangan, meron siyang dalawang kuya na iba rin yung, they're still in the arts but iba yung tracking, hindi acting, hindi mainstream. Um, I wanted the names to be really Pinoy na medyo traditional or parang sinaunang Tagalog, ganun. Kasi
Yes.
para yes, sinaunang Tagalog kasi their parents are from theater. They have a theater background. Their parents, Cecilia and Geronimo, Jerry. Um, they had a theater background. So parang it made sense for them to name their children na parang traditional Filipino names or parang very very Filipino sounding names ganyan. So there was Isagani and there was Datu. So si Isagani, ang backstory niyan, ang inisip ko diyan is Cecilia and Geronimo actually fell in love while doing a Noli Fili play or a
Mm.
musical. They fell in love doing that, and they were Isagani and Paulita in that play. So when they got together and they had the first child, they named him Isagani, parang to commemorate that that time that they fell in love, ganyan. Tapos si Datu, the backstory for that naman is fussy si mommy during the pregnancy, na parang dapat inaalalayan mo siya lagi. Parang basta maarte siya with the cravings and everything. Um, Tapos parang maharlika daw, parang maharlika, maharlika yung dating, ganyan. So when they were thinking of the name, they wanted something royal or something connected to royalty. But they didn't want an English name kasi nga gusto nila Tagalog. So they went with Datu. So, yun yung explanation. Yun. So I thank you for liking the names. And ayan, may libro na si Datu. Si Isagaya na lang hihintayin nyo. Sana dumating na siya. Yun. Thank you.
Thanks, Tara. So, yun I guess yung interesting parang baggage na that we have to deal with when we are talking about naming our characters, because they are kind of it's like even if they're not the main character in a book, you have to think that this person might get his own book. So, dapat pang LI yung name niya kahit na hindi pa. So, so that's one of the things that we end up thinking about. But it's so nice to hear that you had the history of like what the parents were thinking of when they were naming the characters. There was also a request to have you explain the name Filipina, yung name ni Fee
Oh
in
my God, okay.
Scandalized. So literally the Filipina in Tara's book Scandalized is actually named Filipina. Is there another
Alam mo,
reason for it?
ang pinaka-reason lang talaga dyan is I was writing a K-pop book and the Filipina roadie is a Filipina and I wanted her to have a name that's not Korean and not English. Alam mo yun,
Mhm.
parang para for her to stand out. Originally, actually, her name was supposed to be Mayumi. But I
Mhm.
gave it to the sister instead and then I named her Filipina. Parang tongue-in-cheek na parang, Filipina siya, ganyan. Ano yun, parang when you see all of the names in, like, for example, the bands, in East Genesis Project's Entourage, when you see all of the names and you see her name, alam mong hindi siya Koreana, Pilipino siya.
Li-
So that was
Literally
the only
Filipina.
yes, that was the only reason actually. Walang ibang reason for that. So pero yun, nag-stick naman and they liked it so.
Yeah. So and she has a nickname naman throughout the book, so you're not constantly seeing her being called Filipina
Ah, yes,
in
yes.
the book.
Fina-full name
So
lang siya fina-full name lang siya pag may serious things, ganyan.
yes. Okay. Thank you, Tara. So Tara will still be part of the stream, reacting to all of the submissions from the other authors explaining their character names. So next up, ako naman. Okay. So I was asked to explain the names of characters from several books. So one of them is Naya from What Kind of Day. Uh, so it's interesting that was the question that was asked, because there was some thought behind Naya's name, and also just the idea that names are important, and what it's all about. So the name of the character is Naya Llamas. So even her last name means name. And but it actually is a real last name in the Philippines, and it is pronounced that way. You hear the L's in the pronunciation. So there's a part of the book where she has to go to the NBI, the National Bureau of Investigation branch, to get her NBI clearance. And it's a thing in this country. I don't know how it is in other countries, but uh, before you get a job, or if before you do certain things, you have to get clearance from the NBI to which only says that you're not wanted for this person, is not wanted for whatever crime or doesn't have any cases against them. Pretty much like supposedly you're in the clear, and it's needed because many Filipinos have the same name. Uh, we have similar last names because our last names were assigned, many of our families. The last names were assigned to us when Spain had us as a colony. And then the first names are also similar because if you're Catholic, they tend to be like saints, feast days, and all of that. So, yeah, so we have that in our background. Now we have a lot of people with similar names. So, for a scene in the book, uh, there is a thing where she's very proud of her unique name, which is Amansinaya Nicoleta. So I just pulled that out of theirs and called her Naya throughout the book. So that's the explanation lang. It was just a little shout out to the kind of naming issues that we have as Filipinos. But we can still have cute names and nicknames even if we have all these complicated names. The other request from the other request on names is Kalinda. So Kalinda is from my book Kiss and Cry. And thank you for requesting that. That was on Twitter. So yung Kalinda na name actually doesn't have as much of a story on its own. It's only connected to the story of why of why I chose Colin as a character name. So dito tayo magsa-start. So Colin is a name that if you read historical romance, you'll encounter a lot, which I did when I started reading historical romance. So I started with Tessa Dare, and then as I started reading Julia Quinn, I realized that there was a secondary character in most of these books named Colin, and I liked Colin, the secondary character, and usually looked forward to his book. And I said, I will have my own Colin one day. And so I did that. I created a character named Colin, decided that he would be a secondary character in a book, and he would have a sister. And then naisip ko like, what's a nice parang matching name if you have a character named Colin and then you have a sister. So Kalinda is the name for the sister. So those names are connected because of how I came up with it. And also that was the intention. I wanted my own Colin, yun. And then this was not asked, but I'm going to add it as a bonus. So I have a character named Hannah. So Hannah, interim goddess. It's so Hannah is the main character from Interim Goddess of Love, and uh, when I started writing the book, I actually didn't name her Hannah. I wrote a whole chunk of the book with this character under a different name, and then I realized later that as I was writing, the name, it's actually the name of a friend. And then as I kept writing, I realized that I shouldn't write my friend. It's like it's a close friend. And after a while, I thought, it's difficult to write this character and separate her from my friend if she had my friend's name. So I changed it. And the reason why I picked Hannah is because if you've read the story, it means something that Hannah is spelled the same way backwards and forwards. So yun, that's that's the reason why that appealed to me. And those are the names that I've been asked to explain, and a bonus one that I was not asked but I explained anyway. So let's move on to ano. Hi Tara. Yon. So
I
that's
like
my
I like the ano,
explanation.
I like the NBI clearance thing.
Oo, 'di
I
ba? It's like
I
a
like
thing that we all go through. And then it's like a trap because if you want a simple name, uh, you might end up with someone with the same simple name
That's correct.
who committed certain crimes, and then
So
and
you
then
have to
that's
come
gonna
back
be in
pa.
your, yeah, you have to
Hassle pa
come back
siya.
and be cleared by the NBI and make sure it's not you. And then if you're given a complicated name as a kid, then you have to explain all your life why what's up with that name. So
The
it's
ano
one of those
naman,
things.
when you're young, the struggle is to write your name. Like if it's a long name, the
Yes,
struggle is
when
to
you're
write it
young.
within a pad paper. Like, 'di ba kasi syempre when you're still writing malalaki pa yung sulat mo. So minsan parang pap aabot na sa likod ng
Ubos
paper.
na, oo, or ubos na yung line and then you have to
Oo,
move on to the next one.
yes.
So yun. But it's nice. I mean, I like, for example, like Tara deciding to go with names that are kind of not associated with or at least it's different associations, because I know if you grew up reading romance, diba, like
Mhm.
your LI list of names, your love interest list of names will include like
Yes.
Matthew or or Jake or Scott. Yeah, all of these American names, and then we don't necessarily have to have that. We have our own set of names that we can make into love interest names. But
Yes.
uh, uh,
Carla.
some
Carla.
people do have three first names and they have a problem. Yes, this is very specific for them. And then yon. So uh before we proceed to everyone else's explanations, just a reminder to, if you're watching this, please like our stream and please subscribe, because there's more happening in this channel. Yeah. uh Comment
Totoo.
from Kat, pag surprise quiz, minsan nasa number 3 na sila, nasa name pa rin.
Kawawa. Tapos yung ano, paper mo 1/4 lang.
Yes. Your name occupies entire several lines of your paper.
Oh my gosh, ayan.
It's a problem. But yes, but it's one of those things that and the reason why some people have three names is because they are three, like the first name is Maria that everyone
Yes,
everyone might have, and then the next name is maybe like
a
a not
lola's
so
name.
unusual
Akala ko
name, but yeah, some other people might still have it. So the third name really seals it. Makes
yes, oo.
it seals the deal.
Parang it's the when kasi ano, I've encountered friends who have been named after their lolas, ganyan. So parang the first name is Maria or MA dot ganyan. Kasi minsan may hindi spelled out na Maria, 'di ba? MA dot lang talaga.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then the first name is a lola's name, and the other name is the name that the parents really want for their child.
That's
Like,
right.
'di ba, parang para may ano, para mag-compromise ganyan. Parang, 'di ba we want our child to be this ano, to be named this, but you have to name it after your ganyan.
Yeah. So
Fine.
they will just use all of the names. So that's what happens. And then I also went through a stage that I wanted to name uh love interests after really traditional Filipino names, and that backfires on you sometimes, because some people cannot find it attractive if a character is named after their grandfather, or has the same name as their dad or grandfather, because
Anakleto, ganyan.
yeah. Or yeah, I got some flack for that, but hopefully you can write another book and then they'll connect to that na lang. If they really can't get past the grandma or grandpa name. Okay.
Puwede namang old name tapos medyo modern yung nickname, ganyan.
Oo, yun. That's why we have fun nicknames
'Di ba?
all the time. What's the actual legal name of your characters? We don't know. Okay, we have some authors who submitted their explanations for their names. So we'll play them in the stream, and then come back and react to them. So let's have our first one. Uh,
Hello. So, explaining myself, why Ringo? When I thought about this character, he really was this serious, intense, corporate Scorpio guy who does not give a single brain cell for music, is not interested. So I thought it would be funny that his mom named him after not only a member of the Beatles, but the chillest member of the Beatles. And it turns out this way.
I wonder. Okay, so that was Jay Tria talking about Ringo, the main character slash love interest in You Out of Nowhere. I'm actually wondering if anybody doesn't know who Ri- why Ringo, and it's kind of distinctive.
Actually, tawag dito, when this assignment was given to us, the name origins, Jay, I hope it's okay to say this. Jay went into our into our chat room and said, I don't remember, ay parang ayokong sabihin na yung suggestion ni Six na um, you name your character something that's nice to say in bed or it's not.
I'm
So,
sorry, I'm
does it
laughing.
sound nice? In that setting, does it sound nice? Then if it is, then go. So, in a way, naging ganun yung rule. Naging ganun yung rule after. Kasi I think that was mentioned before bago pa masulat yung Flare. So parang nung dumating yung Ringo, parang okay ba siya? Do you think it sounds nice in that context? So parang, pwede naman.
Oh, okay. We have people now reacting to this new information. I think
Yeah.
now we kind of have to process this and,
Hindi niya pa ba
and
alam yun?
decide if this is a good idea.
Kasi when I heard that kind of rational, parang dinaan ko rin lahat ng characters ko in that in that test. Parang
Pwede naman
okay.
siguro. I think yung ano lang, yung curious lang ako on the other side of it is if anybody reading it actually didn't know uh what
Ah,
it was in reference to, because that's
yes.
yeah,
Because
that's strange.
we're very young.
Oo. But yun nga, maybe
Because we're very young, we might not get the reference. Ganun.
oo, so kinailangan i-explain ni Jay. Thank you, Jay, for explaining.
Thanks, Jay. And sorry for making vulgar the chat.
I think it's useful info for everyone
Yes.
else. I think so.
Yun. So yung mga yung mga authors in the chat, tinetest na nila siguro yung ngayon yung
Yeah,
theory or
so Suzette
yung
says
rule.
dapat names end in vowels para
Oh my
madaling i-prolong the sound. Ha ha ha. Okay. Thanks, Doc.
works for the Alves brothers.
Yes. This is helpful. Okay, mag-update na ba ako nung guidelines? Okay. just yun, just for helpful tips. Okay. How about let's have our next author.
Hi, this is Celestine Trinidad, and I'm here to talk about how I named my character Chris from Ghost of a Feeling. I first joined romance class in 2016, and I already had in mind this story for the workshop, but I didn't know what to name my main character yet. Then, around that same time, I was reviewing for the diplomate board exams for pathology. This is the certifying exam we take for our specialty in medicine. And while I was reviewing, I remembered this dye used for classifying bacteria called crystal violet. And I thought, that's actually a pretty name. So I decided to name my character that. Then I explained that her parents were in the field too, so that's why they named her that. Then I shortened it to Chris. So that's how I named my character.
So
Cute. Cute.
cute. That's really cute. But also, I don't even think about Pinoys named Chris having any other history to their name apart from, 'di ba, the common like born in December. If you 'di ba? If you think about everyone you know named Chris, the chances of them born in December is
Yes.
very likely. So thank you for sharing that, Doc Leslie. I didn't even think of a uh of a textbook reason to name a character Chris. So that's really cute, and it matches the character.
Actually, pag Chris na gano'n yung spelling, yung walang H, parang
Mhm.
C-R-I-S is girl. Usually iniisip ko ano, siguro yung tatay siguro mas mahaba yung pangalan niya tapos yung pinag-merge yung pangalan ng nanay tsaka tatay.
You're right. Oo.
Like Marie
So,
Chris, ganyan. Si
oo.
Chris yung tatay, tas Maria yung or Marie yung nanay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Basta may ganun ako laging thinking, siguro, ano, ganito.
So, there was a you don't need to apologize. Okay, her
May additional
Doc
info.
Doc Leslie in the chat saying her brother was supposed to be Malachite Green. Okay, there's a theme. That's cute actually. That's
Mal.
really cute. Oo. Green talaga yung name. Okay. There was a comment earlier from TikTok about moanable names. So yeah. Okay. Noted. Thank you.
Paki-send yung link sa sa Twitter. I wanna
We will be
see.
thinking about, I mean, there's a lot to think about when you're writing books, but there's just another thing to be thinking about.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. How about our next author?
Hi, romance class. Okay, so we're on the subject of the origin of character names. So let's start with Alexa. While I was brainstorming for a name for my tough Arnie's girl, I was going for something kind of unisex, something that would serve as an in-between that could represent the dual life that she's living. I thought about using Sam, and then Charlie, and then eventually I settled on Alex. But Alex somehow didn't click as well as it should while I was writing, so it eventually became Alexa, and that was that. Never mind my original plans. As for Theo, well, if you think his full name sounds familiar and a certain English actor comes into mind, I would say that you got it right. Not gonna lie, yes, I did take inspiration from that Theo. Okay, thanks everyone. Hope you're all staying safe.
Thanks, Doc Angeli. So, ano yun yes. So, yes, as commented by KB now, the character's name is Theodore James, right? So, yun.
Yes.
So, yeah, apparently after that, Theo James. So, we do that. We have named characters after people we admire and people
That's
who
true.
have names that are nice, and we also happen to admire them. And yep, that guy. Thank you.
But I like yung explanation niya about yung name na unisex. I didn't think of that, but it made sense in the context of the book.
Yeah, it's like cause she's very athletic and then girly also.
Yes.
In another stage in her life. So it makes sense that someone would be sort of like Alex earlier in her life, and then Alexa na siya.
That actually really happens in real life. I have friends who have rebranded themselves throughout,
rebrand.
Like
Because that's what
know
happens
them.
in the book. Like yun, parang she does like a personal rebranding.
Yeah, you know them in high school as this name, and then in college, iba na. Wow, parang especially since I studied in an all-girls school, so sometimes we just call each other by surnames.
Yes, yes.
So
Oo.
parang ganyan or parang some nickname na na medyo minsan medyo boyish yung sounding minsan. Tapos pagdating sa college babae na yung pangalan, ganyan. Yung very feminine na yung name, ganyan. Bawal na tawagin by surname, gano'n. So, yeah, it made sense to me yung explanation na yun.
Cool. Okay. Next author?
Curious to find out how I named the characters of my book, Flipping the Script. Main character of Flipping the Script is 17-year-old Miri de la Merced, and her mom was a popular teen star during the 90s named Mimi de la Merced. So a bit of a backgrounder there. The year before I completed the manuscript for Flipping the Script, I completed my BA in film, which took me 17 years to do. And the most instrumental person who helped me do that was my thesis advisor named Professor Melissa de la Merced. So I wanted to give back to her in a major way, which is why her name is very prominently placed in the book. Okay, and then Ikong de la Merced, Miri's film director Lolo, is named after a great-grandfather of mine whom everybody called Lucky Ikong. Pabs Paglinawan, Miri's love interest, is named after my maternal lolo, named Pablo, but everybody called him Pabs. So I wanted that Easter egg also for my family. The last name Paglinawan comes from the department head of the film department of UP CMC during the time when I was a freshman. So really long time ago. And I made that naman as an Easter egg for my blockmates in K4 in case they read the book. And then, who else? The San Telmo people. Junior San Telmo sounded like a studio guy who was kind of not creative and kind of bureaucratic in that sense. Narcisa Barang San Telmo, whom Lolo Ikong had that falling out with, is named after a character that I played in college when I dabbled in theater named Lola Barang. So the name kind of stuck with me for a really long time, and I decided to use that in the book. And then Miri's squad, her friends, Tetet, who doesn't have a last name, but it doesn't matter because everybody has a friend named Tetet, who they love. And then the rest of her squad, Aldrin and Eboy, were based on real people. They were my blockmates in college. Ava just sounded like a cool girl name of a girl I knew in high school and wanted to use it. And then, who else? Ate Army. I worked with an Ate Army when I was very young in the industry, and she was a bully, so she made an impression on me that way. Then Lex Magtibay is named Lex Magtibay because you have to be matibay when you are working in the film industry. So yeah, I think that covers. I still have two more. Mang Fred Abeliana is an amalgamation of two real life people who were also instrumental when I was finishing my student thesis the first time around. They taught me Mang Fred De Leon was an editor who worked at the PIA, Philippine Information Agency, and Mang June also worked there as a sound guy. So I would go there every day, using their facilities. It was free kasi government facility yun. And they taught me how to edit films on an Apple 16mm flatbed. So I thought that was a very special experience, and I wanted them to have a place in a book about Filipino filmmaking. So there, that is the origin story of some of the prominent characters in Flipping the Script.
Grabe!
Love it.
Ang
Love
dami.
it.
I love it. First of all, I love the mom's name, Mimi de la Merced. It is
Yes.
very artista
Yes.
of a
Yes, I was
certain
gonna
era
say.
kind of
Correct.
name. It really
when,
fits.
yeah, when you say Mimi de la Merced and then you say an artista, you kind of it already gives you that magazine. Parang meron akong picture of Mimi de la Merced in a
Medyo
magazine
sexy,
centerfold.
ganyan.
Oo, yung ganon, magazine centerfold. Na parang alam mo na agad na ito siya. And then alam mo agad kung saan siya lumalabas na palabas.
Yes. So actually, yeah, that was part of the so yung mga homage. So I didn't know because I didn't come from the same like film school background, so I wasn't familiar with the people, but it's nice to hear that there are actual people being shouted out to in the book. And funny kasi yes, everyone has a friend named Ted. And that's not their legal name.
Yes.
It's something else, and you'll never know. But their nickname is Tetet, and then an ate army is also is also very common in various industries where you work.
I'm sorry, but who's Raymond Lauchenko?
Ay, ganon.
Joke lang, Iki.
Yeah, yung ganon. Oo. Yeah, it really but it's nice because Denise's book actually has several generations. So not all
Yeah.
of her books have characters representing different generations. So the names are actually really interesting and sort of appropriate to the generation, because there are trends in naming people. There are names that are more appropriate to a certain time, and that's why we get flack when we have old-fashioned names for young people. But that should be a story. There should be an origin story for it. Yun.
I also really like
Nabagets.
yung name ng I also really like yung name ng lolo ni Mimi. Ay, ni Miri, sorry. Kasi
Mhm.
Ikong, 'di ba? Ikong.
Yeah, it's a
Dalamerced.
very lolo name.
Tapos you can already so inisip mo, sige, Francisco siguro yung pangalan niya, but
That's
he's using this
right.
as a director name. And
Yeah.
parang it also checks out because ano bang pangalan ng mga director natin at the time, 'di ba? Lino Broca, Peke Galiaga, ganyan. So parang when you put Ikong there, it belongs. Parang ganun. Ikong de la Merced, 'di ba? Tapos the other names, parang it just sounds naturally right, ganun. So I really like
Very
that.
very showbiz royalty.
Correct.
Ang pangalan. Thank you, Denise. Next up.
Ay, what happened?
Hi, Romance Class. So for Raya and Grayson's Guide to Saving the World, Raya was initially supposed to be Riley because I love the name Riley from Pixar's Inside Out. But in my first draft, somebody mentioned that Riley isn't very Filipino, so I changed it to Raya, short for Hiraya, because there's a minor character named Rai of Street from DC Comics, and it's a conversation piece between Raya and Grayson. And for Grayson, of course, it's because I love Dick Grayson or Nightwing, the first Robin. So Grayson is Chinese. I mean, from Raya and Grayson, not Dick Grayson. So Grayson is Chinese, and it's very common for Chinese names for guys to have a son in the end. So Jefferson, Wilson, stuff like that. So I figured I could maybe squeeze that in. And also, because I already thought of their meet cute, which is Raya calling Grayson a dick because of Dick Grayson. So I thought of the meet cute first, and I didn't want to change the name. So that's how Grayson came up. Thank you.
Naaliw pala ako doon. Yung Grayson being Chinese, and
Yes.
also a shout out to Dick Grayson, which is actually in the book. So
Yes.
so Kat wrote that in that
It
that
worked. It
whole
just
thing,
worked.
which is so like Kat, you were able to name your love interest, diba? After your actual like comic crush, uh, and have it be appropriate, sobrang
Yes.
appropriate for the background of the character. Wala lang, galing lang, and actually, and you know what? I actually forgot that Riley was the original name of Raya. I forgot. As in, I kind of vaguely now remember somebody pointing it out na Riley seemed very like Western. And yun. But I actually forgot about it. Sa Raya, so parang part of the experience of reading this book, that I actually forgot what the original name had been. Yeah. Yun. And then in the comments, okay, yeah, so people are talking about Nightwing, Chinese Dick Grayson,
Yeah.
and the Sons. But yeah, ang daming Sons sa totoo lang.
Sa totoo lang. I mean, I didn't realize it was like that. Pero parang when I grew older, it made sense because we had a Chinese Filipino neighbor dati nung maliit pa ako, and then the biggest the kuya is named Johnson.
Mhm.
Tapos may isa pa parang Jefferson ngata yung kasunod na brother. So parang I didn't think about it naman na parang ganun pala. Tapos when you learn of like when you get to know more people who are Chinese Filipino and are male, tapos ganun yung trend, parang okay, ganun pala.
Get it?
Oo.
I get it. Yeah, and then it happens to be also a double reference. So
Correct. Kaya
aliw.
perfect.
Aliw. Yes. Okay. So those were actually all our Flickr authors, including Doc Leslie, who has a Flickr book coming up. So nagkataon lang.
Yes.
But yeah, we sequenced it that way. So thank you so much for asking about those characters. Next up, next author.
Guys, this is Carla de Guzman, one of the 3 authors of the Alta High Society Romance Anthology. Today, my fellow authors and I are here to spill all the hot tea about the origins of the family's names, and as well as the other characters in the Alta universe. You might have heard Bianca Mori talk about the origins of the Aritz family name, but I'm here to talk to you in particular about Doña Carmen Aritz. Doña Carmen was a very special character, especially for me to write, because the moment we conceptualized the whole 90th birthday theme, I immediately thought of my grandmother, Cecilia Katigbak. The reason why I personally thought she was the perfect character peg for Doña Carmen is because the Katigbaks are kind of well known in Batangas, so our joke is that they're Batangas royalty. But so the character of Doña Carmen also comes from Batangas. And, one of the patriarchs of the Katigbak family is Don Mariano Katigbak. I believe he is famous for being one of the first engineers in the Philippines. And he was also a friend of Jose Rizal, which led to Jose Rizal falling in love with his very first girlfriend, Segunda Katigbak. So he has the Don in his name. And I don't know how in particular someone becomes a Don, but it just felt right to give the title to Doña Carmen. 2 characters in my story longing for. There's Logan Aritz, the youngest grandson of Doña Carmen, and Ali Medina, Doña Carmen's assistant in her foundation. The name Logan Aritz actually comes from Logan Lucky, one of my favorite movies of all time. It stars Adam Driver and Channing Tatum being brothers and pulling off a heist with Daniel Craig. I highly recommend you watch it. It's so fun. But anyway, their last name is Logan, so that's where his name came from. And Ali Medina just sounds like a name of someone you already know, someone you might have crossed paths with, which is kind of the point of her character. So I thought it was really, really appropriate to name her that. So there.
Totoo yung Ali Medina na sounds like somebody you already know. Yes. Totoo.
Office mate mo, ganon. Or parang
Oo.
barkada mo nung college, ganyan.
Oh, wow, may comment.
May hyphenation na.
Oo,
Bakit
that's
hindi kami
amazing.
na-inform kailan to nangyari? Carla de Guzman - Kim. Yan.
Thank you, Carla. But we have the other authors from Alta coming up explaining, so they're gonna explain each of the family branches. But the cute thing about their book is they actually include the family tree, so you can
Yes.
really like think about then you can really look at the names and how they're related and
May
think about it, and
Godfather
also
reference pa
and
doon.
catch references to the inspiration. And um I don't know how somebody I think isn't Don or Donya sort of self isn't that a self title? Like
Parang,
don't people call themselves that and then other people start calling them that in in as they go. I associate Don and Donya with people who have land, and
yes,
because usually there's an estate, and then Don and Donya are
hacienda.
yeah, and usually it's the people who work on the estate or are familiar with the estate, or the people who don't have money and are familiar with them who call them Don and Donya. So I don't know if uh, if if we actually have some sort of system where there are official dons and donyas apart from how people have chosen to identify because they are just they have money that way. And yeah, but yeah, and so that was the name of their patriarch, and uh the two.
Yes, it's land. Oh, ayan, sabi ni Carla, yes, it's land daw.
Oh,
Gusto ko
so
lang sabihin pala na I really like the name Logan. So of all the arts, the arts main characters sa anthology, the Alta 1 anthology, siya talaga yung favorite ko. I don't know why, because ewan ko, siguro because I associate Logan with Wolverine. I mean, it's a different kind of macho, 'di ba? Kasi syempre iba naman yung but like yung when the way I picture Logan in my head is talagang very masculine na will protect you at all costs, ganyan. So parang ang sexy, gano'n.
ako naman, I don't know now if it's affected by the name, pero I associate him with being more of the upstart. Parang it doesn't make sense to think of him as that because he comes from a family with money. Pero 'di ba parang siya yung uh, pero parang siya yung doing his own thing, uh, almost like startup. Parang startup pero hindi. Actually, marami siyang pera. Pero but he does parang have that. But also kasi I don't know but maybe because nga the name is not Spanish, so I have a different association with the character because the name is not uh kasi yung like the messaging kasi that we get in our fiction, 'di ba, is certain Spanish names are rich, American names are modern, in ways that Americans are. So yun, baka it influences also how we write and how we think. So next, let's have our next Alta author explaining things.
Hey, I'm Bianca Mori, and I'm here to talk about some of the names from the book Alta. So first is the main family from the book, the Aritz family. So they were partly inspired by the Zobels, who were a Basque family and established their empire here in the Philippines. So when we were planning this book out, Carla, Suzette, and I were looking at a list of Basque surnames. We were looking specifically for names that weren't common in the Philippines. And one of the first that we saw was Aritz, which meant oak. For us, it was very symbolic because oaks come from tiny acorns. And that was very symbolic of the Aritz business journey. So that's why we picked that name. Second is the name of Timoteo Aventado, who is Carmen Aritz's ex-lover and plays a part in the first book. So actually, when we were planning this book out, we were with my son because it was after a romance class event where we had sold our Flat Maria shoes. So he was hanging out with us and we asked him, can you give us some names of your classmates? You might find something interesting there for the characters of this book. And he said, oh, one of my classmates who's artistic, his last name is Aventado. And for us, it just clicked. Okay, yeah, that's a good name for an artist. And that's how Timoteo Aventado's name was born. Finally, the sisters in my branch of the family, the main character of my story is Natalia Aritz, and her sister is Bridget. And they were inspired by the stories I would hear as a teenager about popular girls who went to other schools and they had fancy names. Like I know a couple of sisters named Mohini and Monina, something like that. So when I named them, I wanted names that evoked the image of them being driven to school in a chauffeur-driven fancy car. So that's why I thought I would name them Natalia and Bridget. So there. Thanks.
Thank you, Bianca. May kaguluhan sa chat.
Sobrang it made sense na yung Natalia at saka Bridget, yung dinadrive to school ng may... Paulo!
Ayan na yung title ng Alta too. Okay.
It's
You're
okay
welcome,
to be
Alta
not okay.
authors. Uh-huh. Yeah. I actually when I watched, as I was watching it, and Bianca was saying the sisters named Mohini and Monina, I suddenly thought I might know them. I might actually have heard of these sisters. And kasi very distinctive yung name, 'di ba? Yun yung whether we associate it with rich chauffeur driven cars or not, diba? It's very distinct and different, and we'll remember we'll remember them. That's great. And then I it was just pointing out that I on the whole I enjoy how they did the world building for Alta and the Aritz family, which includes definitely if you're going to create rich people from nowhere, and then you're going to have them come from somewhere originally. Yes, if they're here in the Philippines, the origin will likely be Basque. And I've thought of that too. I also have characters named after Basque surnames. So if they're rich enough, so that's something I have thought about. South girls. Oo nga. Baka nga.
Si Mohini tsaka si Monina, taga
Baka
South.
nga. Kasi nga, oo, like how many degrees off. And they're likely like girls that people talk about because they're just that awesome or something. And yun. So yeah, but yun, I enjoy the thought being put into how the characters were named, and also just the family and the fact that they were able to create symbols out of the name that they chose. So I mean, sometimes you see it in books and sometimes you don't, but here there's actual like a visual theme and
Yes.
and everything.
If you haven't seen it yet, if you have a copy of Alta and if you haven't seen that family tree yet, just check it out kasi ang cute talaga. Tapos may crest pa and everything. It's so
It's a bit
extra.
extra.
Yes, it's so extra and I love it.
Yeah.
Yung
Okay,
surnames, no? Yung when we think about surnames, like for example, yan, yung Aritz, ganyan. Kasi first time ko siyang ma-encounter anywhere. Like, yun talaga yung first encounter ko with that surname. Pero when you think about surnames then, sometimes kasi there are surnames that are region-based.
yeah.
I'm not sure if, yun nga, parang if you guys are familiar, but sa amin, sa Bicol, may mga apelyido na depende kung saang probinsya ka sa Bicol. Nag-ano siya. So A, B. Pag nag-start sa A or B, nasa bukana ka ng Bicol, tapos papuntang palayo, yung alphabet, yung starting ng apelyido mo, nagpo-progress din the farther you are in Bicol.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm not
that's
sure if that works in other provinces din.
it seems like a very Bicol thing kasi that's every time that's mentioned, in particular it's usually Bicol region yung they actually did they actually assigned alphabetical order based on based on where you lived, and
Oo,
then
based on city.
gave the surnames, and then in alphabetical order pa. So
Yeah.
there's that story. And then I think if it's, and then yon, if it's a last name that's if you want them to have some sort of Spanish origin, it's likely gonna be Basque. And then if you look
Mhm.
though at Basque surnames, parang they're kind of familiar but not, because
Mhm.
they evolved. Uh, so if you've never encountered a surname like Aritz before, kasi likely in uh yung generations of them being here, like nagbago yung spelling, or something changed in how it was written or how it was said. So it there is an origin from that list, and then eventually it becomes something else. And then of course you'll have the Chinese families that are actually their last names, their multi syllable last names are actually the names of their patriarch of the
Mm.
family. So that's why it's only them, it's only that family and that clan that has that last name, because they're literally named after the patriarch. So yun. So yun lang yung funny, like when you kind of like name somebody and then drop them and then drop them somewhere, and then not really realize that there's a history to that name that
Yeah.
you
Pero gusto ko din yung history nung Aventado surname kasi parang, ay, artistic 'tong classmate ko tapos
artistic siya.
ito yung apelyido niya, oo.
Oo.
Pero I really like the Aventado na surname kasi
It
it
has a
also,
nice sound.
'di ba? It
Parang,
also sounds
oo.
like hindi siya, I mean, it also sounds like pang-mayaman.
Oo, or like
Pang-mayaman din.
it's like you're gonna purchase a classic Aventado
Yeah.
from parang gano'n, 'di ba?
Kotse.
Kasi parang oo, yeah. And then yun, it fits. So, great. Let's have our next author.
Zette Borja, and I'm one of the authors of Alta, a high society romance anthology. So for the second generation of Aritzes, they're the parents of our main characters. We patterned their names after a fictional family, the Corleones from the Godfather series. So yeah, they're named Mike, Sonny, Fredo, and Connie. So personally, the names itself sets the tone, I think, for the family dynamics in the Aritzes. So there is that sibling rivalry, that jockeying for power and favor in the eyes of Mamita. For my main character, Joaquin, I actually named him Joaquin because I really like the name. But his nickname, Kinito, came about because I remembered my grandmother. And my grandmother is the one who's part of giving us nicknames. And what's funny is her nicknames are longer than our real names. So, yun, for Joaquin, I thought it would be adorable if Mamita was the one to give him the nickname Kinito. Kelly, whose real name, Princess Grace Kelly Monago, is a play on the Princess Grace Kelly of Monaco, was actually inspired by the name of one of Manny Pacquiao's children. So he has a daughter named Queen Elizabeth, and another daughter who has 3 names, Mary Divine Grace. So I thought it would be fun to name a character that way.
Sorry. Nakakatawa talaga yung name ni Kelly.
I swear,
Yes. Oo.
the
Yes.
first time I read the book, si Princess Grace Kelly. hindi hindi ko talaga, I mean, yung feeling mo sa kanya, kilala mo siya kasi
Kilala
notorious
mo
siya
rin
sa
yung nanay niya.
oo, notorious siya sa internet for being an influencer na medyo cringy, pero carry lang, hindi naman siya problematic. It's just that minsan hindi mo siya masabayan kasi masyadong basta iba yung taste level parang questionable, parang gano'n. Pero also, at the same time, I think, 'di medyo matagal na yung Four Sisters and a Wedding, eh. Pero kasi 'di ba yung si Princess sa ano, sa Four Sisters and a Wedding, mahaba din yung pangalan niya. So parang while reading that, parang na-associate ko yung image na yun. Tas ano pa sila, Nuva Rich, 'di ba? Nuva Rich yung family. So parang isip ko yung ganun yung bahay, tapos yung yung parents niya ano, hindi hindi mukhang hindi mukhang mayaman pero mayaman talaga, ganyan. Tapos medyo may pagka-social climber si mommy, parang gano'n. So,
Yun,
'di ba?
actually, oo. That's funny because I mean, it's not just the fact that the author Suzette. So na 'di ba, na-catch ko yung little bit of laughter ni Suzette because she knows what she did. she knows
Totoo.
she knows what she did. She uh she what she did was, but it's common. It's not just an author making a pun, which is what she absolutely did. But y- use people actually name their kids in that way, as in, and they're totally serious about it, and it's not a pun. Talagang, yun. So, but that's so funny to me. I mean, in an endearing way, because yun nga, even just the name, even without knowing, uh, not getting, yes, exactly, it's a Pinoy family thing to do. It says a lot about like the mom, a mom who would name her daughter that way, and it's not, 'di ba? Parang yun. But and then yung placement pa nila in the, like, in the world, in that world where the love interest is this super rich heir. Oh, ano ano Suzette? Yun. So it's funny. But it's nice that it's funny, and it's nice that it was thought of that way. And then I also like pala that the matriarch, they have like a nickname for the matriarch. So because that actually happens, yun, like in our family we called somebody Lola Mama. We
Yes, that's correct, oo.
here, 'di ba, here they
Mamita.
call their, because Lola is grandmother, but this person has this particular nickname, and everyone knows that they're talking about this person. So in the case of Alta, it's Mamita. And funny din yung, I actually, everything I know about The Godfather has been through pop culture. I didn't actually read or watch, but seeing the family tree and seeing the names, I also laughed because yes, it's like a way to assign dynamics per
Oo, totoo,
for each family member, na parang, okay, so this is the problem brother, this is the this is, 'di ba, parang may ganong aspect. And the fact that that Joaquin has a nickname,
Yes.
oo, na yung
I like the
tapos,
fact na ano, when she said the nickname that her lola gave them is longer than the actual name. Because it's very true.
oo.
It's very true.
'Di ba? Yan. From Doc Leslie, we called our great grandmother Lola to distinguish her from her actual Lola. Yes, we do that. we we do that, and then and then it's something that I don't know who. Somebody in every family is the nickname assigner, and then everyone sort of gets the memo, and it cascades
That's
throughout the
true,
family.
oo. Mm.
And yun. So that's cute. I mean, that was really cute. So Joaquin, Joaquin being Kinito, uh, and is
Ang cute lang kasi nakinito siya, tas siya yung eldest, 'di ba? Like siya yung
yeah.
because
It's
siya
like yeah, exactly. It's like a way to parang make him small.
parang I can imagine kasi na when he was little and siya pa lang yung nandun, the grandmother doted on him so much. Just, Kinito,
Yeah,
ganyan. Tapos,
yeah.
ano na, it stuck. So,
Mhm.
parang, di ba? Pero like, Kinito, tapos ikaw yung pinaka-tito.
Yes, yes. And
Tito
and
Kinito.
it sticks and everyone just talks about you that way. So,
Correct.
yun na. ganun, ganun na lahat. Oo. So that was actually the last video. So that's all of the author videos. Because those were the ones that were requested. But I actually recommend to every author in romance class that if you could just like write a blog post or a tweet, just talk about your name, the origins of your character names, because this is really fascinating, and I think
Mhm.
this reveals like a lot about it's like a lot it's like additional story stuff that doesn't need to make it into the text. Like, you don't need to
Mhm.
explain it, but it actually adds a lot of character and like life to a story
Yeah, it
when
also makes the names relatable, 'di ba? Well, parang
oh
like for example,
yeah,
like now we know na parang si Mamita parang gave the nicknames. Parang you can also remember your own
that's
family dynamics, 'di ba? Na parang oo nga, kahit hindi ka Alta, it happens. It happens to every family.
like we can pretend that we're that rich because we also have a nickname from our lola.
Correct.
But yeah, that's cute. And it makes, I mean, if anyone's listening and they're just thinking of character names, and sometimes really just pick from from a baby name book, but
Correct.
but sometimes yun, we're using names that mean something in some way or have a history behind it, uh, and that's cool because
Di may
we get
question
to
ako.
decide this.
When you
Yes.
when you pick out a name, do you run it like for example, alam mo na yung pangalan, parang you want this character to be named this. Do you run it through a name, parang baby name thing para you see what it means?
Yes, yes. So that's a question also to the authors in the chat. Do you uh are there alternative ways that you check um on like the definition of the name that you like? So ako, I think I don't do that for every character, but I did siguro earlier for some kasi yan yung like, that's when ang ang hirap kasi when you start doing a series and you've actually named those characters without thinking about it a long time ago, and now you just have to make their story. So I actually didn't. There are a few characters who ended up getting their own book.
Mhm.
Na the names actually I didn't really think about their names all that much, because one thing for me kasi is in a book I want the names to sound different. So uh that's actually one thing that I track, na like if it's a vowel ending, or a consonant ending, or it starts with this letter or starts with that letter. So I try to mix it up because because you don't want people confused, diba? You don't want people confused about yung confusing characters. And then when we started doing more audio, na-realize ko yung the value of having names of people that sounded different. Because
Yes.
even if written, it's different, but when said, it sounds the same. It's still confusing to somebody just listening. So yun yung isang factor na kailangan it's diverse sounding enough. Yung may there's enough variety. Yun. So I have a question for Tara. How do you come up with your Korean character names?
Oh my gosh. So sa
Yes.
sa East Genesis Project, may kwento 'yan kasi tawag dito. So when you see the names like Joy1, JYH,
Mhm.
and then Songmin Chan, SMC. So those are initials of the idols that I follow.
Okay.
So JYH is Jong Yun Ho of TVXQ, and yung kay Min Chan is SMC, pero actually it's Shim Chang Min, SCM of TVXQ as well. So binaliktad ko lang. So I wanted to use the initials, and then create a new name for it. So yung Joey Wan tsaka Song Min Chan, niran ko yan sa Google kasi um Koreans also have different meanings for the
Mhm.
characters kasi. So when you name somebody like kunwari Yiwan, sometimes the characters in Chinese, kasi meron silang equivalent in Chinese na characters. For kahit na kunwari Yiyan, merong Chinese equivalent na iba yung meaning. So hindi mo alam kung legit ba na may ganitong pangalan, or
Yeah.
baka nag-iimbento lang ako tas wala naman pala, baka mali.
Oo.
So I had to run it through Google and see if there are actual people named that way.
Okay.
So meron naman. So ginamit ko na yung Yiwan na name, and then also Minchan na name, ganyan. So those names are from the two members of TVXQ. And then yung Steven,
Mhm.
actually hindi ko maalala kung bakit Steven, pero I needed an English name because it's a rule. Charot. It's a rule in K-pop bands to have somebody with a token English name. Kasi
Okay.
meron lagi dapat token English speaker.
Okay.
So pag nakita mo sa lineup ng boy group, may pangalan English, ibig sabihin marunong mag-English yan. It's probably because he was scouted from the US, or he came from the US, he studied there for a
Mhm.
while, so marunong siya mag-English. In a certain capacity, ganyan. So, yun, ganun siya. So, si Steven, ganun ko siya pinangalanan kasi siya yung token English speaker. Tapos, yung Be na apelido, joke yun kasi totoo na lang may Be na apelido, but kasi 'di ba when you say Be in English, it means something
Yes.
else. So I
Okay.
wanted to use it in a certain way kasi siya yung chick boy sa group. So parang the fans can also use that surname as a pun to pag nagfa-fangirl sila, parang Steven is my Be, ganun. Kasi that's his actual apelido, ganyan. Yun. Tapos the
I
other
actually never
characters,
I actually never thought about any other pronunciation for it. But anyway,
oo,
please
pero
continue.
Be, talagang Be yung yung
Oo.
pronunciation niya is Be. Parang tayo,
Mhm.
pag Be, paano nga nang,
Mm. Be.
ayun. The other characters in the series, usually nanggagaling yan sa mga K-drama na napapanood ko. Parang,
Okay.
some minor characters, ganyan. Although may pinangalanan akong isa na Jichol, that's Gong Yu's legal name.
That's nice.
Yeah, oo. Siya yung if I remember correctly, siya yung ginawa kong parang sound guy nila sa Summer Crush. Parang ganun. I forgot na kung sound guy ba siya or sound engineer, ganyan. Yes, Iggy Steven Be.
Thanks for the pronunciation, guide.
Mm-mm. Pero pwede naman daw Be, sabi ni Steven. Payag siya. Payag siya sa
Okay.
Be. Oo.
Okay.
He approves, ganyan.
Okay. That's good to know. No, may illegal. Yeah, okay. So nasa comments, ambush daw. Hindi we're just having a conversation.
Oo nga. Share nyo lang.
Sharing lang. Oo.
Oh, alam ni ay wala si Chi sa chat ata. Pero alam ni Chi yan.
I have a question then for I'll answer, Tara can answer, and then and also people in the chat, please answer. Did you name any character over somebody in your actual life, like the way Denise did? Like anybody that you can share, like anybody significant. You don't have to share every single character that you've named after somebody you know, but anybody significant that you can mention now. So ako, yung the thing about I don't have a lot of people from high school in my life right now as an author. Like I think they know that I write, but they don't read. Like only two people probably have read my books, and that's good to know because I actually used a lot of first names and last names from my high school in my earlier books. Siguro from uh like 7 books of mine have are full of like mixed up last name of this person, first name of this person, all from my high school. So they're good friends, or I came from a very small school, so we all tended to know each other. There are certain last names that are associated with last names and families that are associated with certain like batches because of just how it was, because it's like a really small community. So for example, I think definitely my first book, Jasmine and Zach, they're actual like really attractive people from my high school. Pero magkaiba yung batch nila. So, there's a family, like, we're a small school, and sometimes families, like, send, like, their entire angkan dun to study. So there's, like, big prominent families na Cacho, Haresco, um, and I've used their last names, Salazar. I've used their last names in my books. Pero yung favorite ko na Easter egg for me lang, is an interim goddess, because all of her, it was a small school, one section per year, but the valedictorian was always a girl. So I named Robbie's sisters after like 3 or 4 batches of valedictorians na babae from our from our school. So that's my favorite. Yung sisters ni Robbie are named after, in interim goddess, are named after all the valedictorians in the batches ahead of me. Yun, that's my favorite real name Easter egg in any of my books. How about you, Tara?
Ako, I have 2 characters who are named after real people, but I didn't mean it to, parang I didn't mean it to, for the characters to embody, parang alam mo yun, I didn't get their characteristics, ganyan. So I have one from Second Wave Summer and Keeping Miss Kalila, Belle. Belle is one of Datu's team members in his production company. I have a friend named Belle from high school, but hindi ko naman pinattern sa kanya yung character ni Belle. I just really like the name Belle. Because I had to use it for a Saved by the Bell reference.
Okay.
Oh my God. Sobrang dun
So
lang
all
ng,
of that para magamit mo yung pan.
dun
Okay.
lang nang galing, parang wow, Saved by the
Okay.
Bell, ganyan. Kasi parang,
Okay.
I remember, I think they were talking about excess, ganyan. Tapos, Bell said something na parang they had to go or something. Tapos parang, uy, Saved by the Bell, ganyan. So,
Tanya,
I mean,
comment
yun na yun.
what is Saved by the Bell. It's a classic TV show, Tanya.
Ayun. Tapos, tawag dito, there's another person in Keeping Miss Kalila who's named Len. I just really like the name Len because it's so relatable. Like, parang, like, sabi ni Denise kanina, everybody knows a friend named Tetet. I
And
feel like
Len Len.
everybody knows someone named Len Len, ganyan. So, bahala na kayo kung anong klaseng first name meron siya, pero Len Len niyo siya kilala, ganyan. And this friend is usually the, alam mo yun, yung trustworthy friend na maingay, yung ilalaglag ka talaga with love, yung ganong
Okay.
klase.
That's
Yung
cool.
basta yung pakialamero siya in your life but with affection, ganyan. And alam mo yun, parang siya yung, hindi naman siya ride or die type, pero alam mo yun, loyal siya sa'yo, ganyan. So yun, Len Len. I know another friend named Len Len in high school. So, medyo ganun siya, maingay.
Okay. Absolutely real. Thank you, Tara.
Right.
So from the comments, thank you for sharing. Carla says Martha and Regina are names of her cousins. So so Martha and Regina figure in several of Carla's books. I
If the
wonder
dress
if they're
fits.
anything like the characters that you've written. And
Yes, oo.
Miles has also commented, Carlisle's best friend. Okay. Okay. I said too much as it is.
Parang, sige, wag na nating sabihin.
Okay. Okay, Miles. But thank you for sharing. I think it's cute though. Laglag with love. Yeah. So I think it's cute that I think I didn't realize like Denise sharing that she actually named people that she knew into her book. I actually do that only with people who will never read the books. Which is why I've been able to use. I think yun kaya I renamed Hannah after a while because I had started writing the book using the name of a friend who might actually read it. So, suddenly nagkaroon ako ng crisis of like doing right by my friend, especially if she starts reading it. And then, so, so naisip ko, never mind, I'll just rename her into something else so I don't have this problem anymore. Yan.
May question
Yeah.
ako.
Yes.
Out of all the names that you've created or you thought of for your characters, which one is your favorite?
Ikaw na nasasagot ka. Ako.
Sige.
Wait. Kasi nagbabago yung mood ko all the time about this. I am thinking.
People in the chat who can answer, let us know then. What's your favorite character name that you thought of or that you used in a book? Cool.
Yeah. I think now I can't think of because I think their names are nice. Pero I think siguro yung kay Naya, for a girl, yung kay Naya, because I actually thought about it. I thought about like the name actually meant something to me. So I like that there's a story behind it because usually there's no story for me. Like usually it's just I looked up the name and it was nice to me yun. So wala lang. I also like I like Diego. Sorry. I like hindi pala siya hindi siya main love interest. But I like it. I like the name. I like that I came up with it just in contrast to the other names because it was one of those names na there's a lot of baggage with it. Pero it was the character that it was okay to have baggage with. And then kasi yun yung hirap if it's a love interest that you think everyone should like. So now like the name you feel tuloy that the name you give the person has to be a name that everyone will like. But when you name someone na you don't have the pressure naman to have everyone like this person. Suddenly, mas free to experiment. And I think Jago was a nice experiment na there's a lot of baggage to the name, but I enjoy it. I enjoy the name when I see it. Yan. How about you, Tara?
I have several. Bakit?
Yes.
Anong tawag dito? The first one is Kalila. Because actually, when I was
It's a
writing,
really pretty name.
it's a
Oo.
pretty name. Tapos I didn't know of the origin and whatever. Basta because I know this theater actress named Kalila Aguilos and I really like her voice. I parang nagustuhan ko siya as an actress, and then also I also like the name because it sounds really nice. Tapos when I was outlining for Datu's book, even before actually sa second wave summer pa lang, iniisip ko anong pangalan ng ate girl niya, ganyan.
Mhm.
So parang sabi ko Kalila na lang kaya kasi parang it's nice, Datu Kalila, ganyan. So I parang placeholder ko muna yung name niya. And then I asked you earlier, 'di ba? Do you run your character names in baby name dictionary? Niran ko yung pangalan niya sa baby name dictionary and it turned out na ang meaning niya is dearly loved.
Wow.
So parang sabi ko, sakto.
And that's
kasi
it. That's your theme.
sakto.
Oh.
That's the theme. So parang, yes, okay, I got it. So yun, parang it worked out lang kasi I really like the name na. Tapos yun pa yung naging meaning. So I stuck with it. Tapos, I don't know, ang dalang kasi ng tulog ni Datu. So I really like that name. It
alala.
sounds so strong and
Dominant. Chos.
basta yon, parang ang kisig kasi nga 'di ba you associate Datus with fighting and also ruling their
May
tribes.
kailangan ba
ganyan.
tayong i-unpack? Chos.
Di naman. Sa na lang, sa Tisalon na lang. Basta yun. So parang I really like that name. Parang na lang, parang retrospectively, parang buti na lang yun yung ginamit kong pangalan for him. And then finally si Pio kasi para siyang lucky charm, hindi ko maintindihan. Parang when you say the name Pio ewan ko, pag nalam mo siya sa kung saan place, nagpe-perform siya well. So parang feeling ko na binigay ko sa kanya yung triple threat na na characteristic as an artist. Parang naging charm niya yun. So every time I put his book anywhere, siya yung pinaka best performing. So parang meron siyang charm na ganun. Tapos bigla na lang may magtatag sa akin sa Twitter na Pio, ganyan. Parang, I don't know this person, but gusto nila si Pio. So parang, alam mo yon yung may ganong klaseng...
It's a brand.
Parang ganun, di ba?
Oo, parang may branding siya. Oo.
Meron siyang recall. Meron siyang recall na parang, so I really like that name. Buti na lang it stuck, and then I really enjoy it when people parang refer to him in a way na parang kilala nila si Pio because he's an artista or whatever. So, yun. That's it. Paolo, oo na.
I'll go through some of the comments from that other authors have shared, from Katrina Atienza, who also writes as Bianca Mori. I've named characters after mga kamag-anak na di ko ka-close. That's useful. Because kaya pala I asked if you've named people, if you've named characters after people, because my baggage in the very beginning was I didn't want people to read the book and say, that's such a fake sounding name, because and I don't know what it was, but that was a thing before. Of course, we're so past it now, but it's because it seems like when you're writing your first book, diba, it seems like you're choosing the name of your child. You're really picky. You're really you're really going through all of these names if something's appropriate or not. So yun, parang ang hirap lang. And then eventually, diba, it becomes easier, and so I really felt like naming after people I knew at least gave it a sense of real, it's real. Somebody somebody exists with this name, and somebody actually has this name who is this age. It's real, it's true, parang ganon. From Carla, Sari na short for Rosario. Feeling ko, ang genius ko na naisip ko. Oy, I like that also. I didn't realize what the name was. I mean, I didn't realize that it was short for Rosario, and then when I found out that it was, parang it was really cute. So yun, yeah, that's a good.
Interesting kasi I have a friend named Rosario, legal name. Tapos ang nickname niya Cherry. So parang medyo malapit yung Sari sa Cherry. So
Okay.
naalala ko lang. Oo, naalala ko
Yeah.
lang. Pero I also know a person named Sari. Tapos yun lang talaga yung pangalan niya. I mean, that's her first name and only
Okay.
name. Tapos oo. So parang I don't know the origin.
I think naman that's possible for us also. But it's cute na, I mean, Rosario. That is clever. From Celestine Trinidad, my favorite is Maki. And his nickname, Mac. Tapos yung full name pala is Makisig. Yes! That was really cute also. So Makisig is similarly to Datu. If you know what it means, it brings like imagery that's very strong and very like tough and
yes.
But Mac it's like the kid version opposite. So that's like an interesting trope, no? It's like giving a nickname. It's like a really intimidating strong name, and then you give them a nickname that sort of parang makes them cute. And sort of changes the way that we think of the person. Cute.
Cute yung Mac kasi parang it gives the character a certain alam mo kasing it came from a certain phase in his life. Like alam mo yun, alam mong Mac siya nung maliit siya.
Yes.
So,
yes, my gosh.
Kumbaga, if you meet this person and you get to meet the people he has lived with when he was younger, alam mo Mac ang tawag sa kanya. Pero ikaw, you know him as Maki. So parang, di ba, there's parang history, ganyan.
Which is totally a thing na yung nicknames mo come in stages of your life, and people
Correct.
who call you by a certain name, that's when they met you.
Yes.
Exactly. We have a comment from Kat Briones. I like Lavinia kasi pang kontrabida. Tapos bilang enemies to lovers, pag galit na si Li, all caps na yung Lavinia. Which
Lavinia.
cartoon is Lavinia from?
Princess Sarah.
Princess Sarah, yun.
Siya yung naka-yellow, lagi na frilly. Tapos, basta yung snob siya, ganyan.
Exactly. Yung very, like, mayaman na.
But also, I think Lavinia is the name.
Maarte.
I forgot it. I don't know. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But isn't that the name of Sherry Hill's character in yung movie nila ni Sharon Cuneta? Basta parang
naming.
Parang
is
di ba
it?
Lavinia yung pangalan niya?
Consulting our Sharonian friends.
Correct. Gusto ko yung Mac barkada ni Lenlen at Tete.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Like
ayun,
that.
tama.
All of it, yes.
I remember my film history. May full name na si Sir Paolo.
Okay. Yeah. No, but that's exactly parang the thing, the pop culture, not baggage, pero reference that's being evoked by naming characters after parang very specific personalities. Nakakatawa.
Kat, si Lavinia ba ang nickname niya pag malambing na si Li, I love you?
Hihi. Okay. We were just reminded by our director that we have gone over an hour and a half. Thank you so much for the discussion about the names. Thank you for suggesting this topic. We have a few more topic suggestions, but if you want us to discuss a specific thing for the podcast, definitely send me a message. Tag us on Twitter and suggest the topic so we can because we can do this now. We can have a lot of authors sort of weigh in and give us their take on something, and we can stream it on the show. And I love that we were able to do this and share a little bit of like the process that that went into naming our characters, and maybe some secrets revealed as well. So thank you, Tara, for joining me
Thank you,
today.
Din.
Thank you to everybody in the chat. We have a lot going on online. So we have other Killing Cafe hangouts planned. We have the writing sprint Wednesday, 9 a.m. So Suzette was the one who suggested this topic. So thank you so much, Suzette.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Suzette. Sabi ni Suzette, I'm suggesting it, but I don't want to be the the panelist. So, but this was an excellent topic. Thank you so much, and we got a lot of authors to talk about it, to talk about how they name their characters. Other authors, I hope you're able to like write a post something, share also how you named your characters. We'll be boosting that. So thank you everyone who dropped by, and we'll
Thank
see
you.
you
Don't forget to
online
like the
again.
stream. Don't
Like
forget
the
to
stream,
like before
please.
you leave. Happy weekend, everybody. Thank you.